Welcome to the Explainer. If you're doing business across borders, there's this nagging fear that a great deal could just evaporate overnight, all because the currency rates decided to do a little dance. Well, in this Explainer, we are going to walk through the essential strategies to protect your bottom line from exactly that.
So, let's just jump right into a scenario. Picture this. You've landed a huge international client. You did the work, sent the invoice, you're golden, right? But wait, between now and when that payment actually hits your account, there's this massive wild card you have zero control over, the exchange rate.
And that uncertainty? That's the core problem we're going to tackle today. We're talking about how to manage the risk that comes part and parcel with foreign exchange.
To put it really simply, it's the risk that the profit you thought you had locked in could shrink or, poof, even turn into a loss, all because the value of one currency shifted against another. It's the headache of not knowing how much money you'll actually end up with.
All right, so how do we actually fight back against this risk? We're going to start with the most direct tool we've got, transactions that happen right now, or what we call on the spot.
Okay, before we go any further, you have to burn this one golden rule into your brain. The bank always has two prices. Always. When you need to pay someone in, say, dollars, you have to buy those dollars from the bank at their higher sell price. But when you receive dollars, you sell them to the bank at their lower buy price. That little gap in between, that's called the spread, and that's how they make their money.
Now let's put that rule to work. Let's say you've got a fee to pay, and you can use either US dollars or British pounds. Remember, it's a payment, so you're buying the foreign currency. That means we have to use the bank's higher selling rate for both. And when you run the numbers, wow, it's not even close. Paying in pounds is way, way cheaper.
So what happens when money is coming in? Let's say you're about to receive a sweet $70,000 payment. The steps are just as easy. It's a receipt, which means you're selling those dollars to the bank, and the bank buys from you at its lower rate. Do the math, and boom, you get exactly 19.6 million rupees. No guessing, no surprises. But, spot rates are great for today. What about payments or invoices that are months down the road? For that, we need a different tool. We need a way to kill the uncertainty of the future by locking in a rate right now.
And this is where something called a forward contract becomes your best friend. Imagine a company, we'll call them ABC Limited, places an order on March 1st. They don't have to pay their supplier until May, and they won't get paid by their customer until June. Instead of just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best, they can use a forward contract on day one to lock in the exact exchange rates for those future dates.
So here's how that actually plays out for them. For the payment they owe, they use that locked-in 2-month forward rate. For the money they're expecting, they use the 3-month forward rate. And here is the absolute key. Right from the beginning, they know their exact cost and their exact revenue in their own currency. All that Forex risk is just gone.
And this just perfectly shows what hedging is all about. When you net those two numbers, ABC Limited knows they have a small, totally manageable loss of 10,000 rupees. See, the goal wasn't to guarantee a profit. The goal was to eliminate uncertainty. They're now completely protected from what could have been a catastrophic loss if the markets had moved against them. They've swapped risk for absolute certainty.
Okay, so the forward contract is a fantastic, straightforward tool. But now let's level up and look at a more sophisticated strategy, the money market hedge. Yeah, it's a bit more complex, but stick with me because it can sometimes be a lot more cost-effective.
Now, I know this process might look a little complicated, but the big idea is actually pretty simple. You're basically creating your own forward rate by using today's interest rates and spot exchange rates. You borrow, you convert, and you invest. Let's just walk through an example. It'll make it crystal clear.
So first, let's get our baseline. If we just use a simple forward contract to cover an $8,000 payment that's due in 3 months, our cost is locked in solid, just over 2.4 million rupees. It's simple, it's clear, and it's certain. Can't argue with that. Okay, now for the money market hedge. Step 1. We figure out how many US dollars do we need to borrow today so that with interest it grows to become exactly $8,000 in 3 months. And that number is $7,843 and change. Step 2. We don't wait around. We immediately take those borrowed dollars and convert them into our home currency, Pakistani rupees, using today's spot rate, right now.
And for the final step, we take those rupees and we put them in a local account to earn interest for those 3 months. So this number you see here, that's our final all-in cost. It accounts for all the borrowing, all the interest, everything. This is what our $8,000 payment effectively costs us.
So, what's the verdict? When we put them head to head, look at that. The money market hedge is over 100,000 rupees cheaper. Now sure, it took a few more steps to set up, but in this case, the savings are pretty substantial. You can't just ignore that.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got spot rates for today, forward contracts for the future, and this money market hedge as a more complex but potentially cheaper alternative. So how in the world do you decide which one is right for your situation?
Well, let's check out a real-world case. This company is hedging both a receipt and a payment in euros, and they're due at different times. Now, they could have just used forward contracts, but instead, they build two separate money market hedges, and by doing this, they essentially create their own custom-made exchange rates for each deal. It gives them total, absolute certainty over their finances.
So, let's wrap this up. Here's what you need to take away. You've got 3 really powerful strategies in your Forex toolkit. You can handle your immediate needs with spot transactions, you can lock in a future rate nice and easy with a forward contract, or you can get a little more creative with a money market hedge. The best choice really depends on what you need. A forward contract is simple. A money market hedge might save you money, but you'll need access to credit and deposit accounts in both countries.
By really understanding and using these techniques, you stop being a passive victim of a crazy currency market. You move from being vulnerable to being in strategic control of your international finances. And that means you're protecting your bottom line and making sure all your hard work actually pays off.